The thing is with Hangout, it just don't let you know when you're really live. But hey, we live now. This is your brother from another mother. No other. Don't look like Danny Glover. This is Law Nation. I'm in the mix, and I got my guy. Space. Tell them who you are, man. Tell them where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, man. If you don't know who I am, I'm Space Cowboy 17. I'm one of the smaller, relatively smaller Cowboys bloggers and YouTubers. I don't really do like the more expertise kind of thing. I'm just casual guy, just talking my piece. I don't really have much more to say on that. If you want to subscribe to me, I think I just put my stuff in the chat, so you can just subscribe there. So yeah.
Man, guys, subscribe to his channel, man. The guy knows his stuff. I don't know where AKOYE is at. He may be running a little behind. I know I'm Central. He's East Coast, so and also Space, you East Coast too as well. So we're in two different time worlds.
Yeah, live in the future.
You in the future, right? Speaking of future, let's talk about the future income of the Dallas Cowboys. Look, you love that segue, right?
Oh yeah.
I got you. So hey, we talking about the salary cap and the salary ramifications. You know it, right?
Oh yeah, oh my God, I have a whole notebook full of free agents we got,
Right.
comparisons. So I guess I'll start that out. So for those that don't know, the Cowboys have $14 million in cap space immediately right now. But we're not
Mm-hmm.
going to focus on that. We're going to focus on 2019. So before the Cowboys had $64 million in cap space, okay? Now that got eaten up a bit. That went from 64 to 50 because we all know about Zach Barnes' contract. Now, a rule of thumb that I can give to everybody that can take away this one thing: if you ever look at cap space, it does not include people like Demarcus Lawrence. It didn't include Zach Martin before, but now it does because of that whole situation. Now,
Mm-hmm.
just so also for your educational purposes, the Zach Martin deal right now is about he's about making like 6 to 9 million right now.
Mm.
Once the next free agency starts, so the next official NFL season, he will then be making $14 million on average. So,
Man.
just so you know on that regard. Now, I guess I could just talk about a couple key free agents that we got coming up. So we have,
Yeah. I'm trying to set up my chat box so I can see who all in the mix. But yeah, we can talk a little bit about the free agency and stuff like that too as well. The guys that we need to have step up because we had some hiccups with what do you call his name, David Irving
mhm.
and Terrence Williams. These guys with these self-inflicted wounds, it's just not a good look at all for us. But yeah, what free agency you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, there's a couple key ones here, especially a couple, ones I've starred. So we have Demarcus Lawrence. He's making 17 mil a year.
Mm-hmm.
You got Beasley and Austin, your two receivers. So you might end up having to make a play in free agency for a receiver, like a Crowder, maybe a Randall Cobb. I'm not saying I hope we do that. Absolutely not. David Irving, also unrestricted free agent. Fleming, Cameron Fleming, how do you pronounce that? Owalawe, I don't remember now.
Is it Jamez Olawale?
Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. I forgot.
Olawale.
Yeah, you got Gregory, you got LP, Jeff Swain, that's a huge one, and Rod Smith.
So all these guys are pretty much either they restricted or unrestricted free agents. Is that what you're saying?
They're all unrestricted free agents, and this isn't including the possibility of a Dak extension,
Mm-hmm.
because they can, negotiate, and it's appearing more and more likely that his market value is around 25 million,
Mm.
and that's
So
about how much dead money we have right now.
so 25 million is all the money that we have pretty much going into the future or this present day.
That is dead money.
Dead money. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
well, $26.3 million. So you got Romo and Dez with about $8-9 million each, and then it's a couple other scrubs. You got Cedric Thornton, Nolan Carroll, Mayoa, Hannah, Switzer. So
Nightmare in Cowboy Land. When you talk about Thornton and the Nolan Carroll, these unproductive guys, it's just crazy. But we see the future now. We see where we going. I think that we have a high up as we look to like free agents that we can get next year. But we should stick to the philosophy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've talked about this before on my channel, and more recently, how the Cowboys can win the NFC in the long term. Well, not the NFC, but the NFC East more specifically. Look, the Cowboys just have to prevent themselves from getting back into cap hell. Just pay your homegrown talent that have known to be Pro Bowlers, all pro guys. You know, for me, you can only have to bring back 3 guys if they actually have good seasons, like D-Law. Let's see who else. Jeff Swaim, if he ends up being a solid starter. Maybe Tavon Austin at a right price. It's all about the right price. We saw what the Cowboys did in 2017 in that offseason, and it looked relatively good. I mean, look, you know, actually not 2017, excuse me, this offseason. My apologies. But what I mean by that is you saw a lot of team-friendly deals. You saw a lot of, you know, we're not going to spend a lot. We're going to go for depth pieces, which a lot of people wanted, and I don't know why people are complaining about the pickups. I mean, myself included, I was a bit upset we weren't doing anything, but yeah.
Yeah, for a moment it seems like we were sitting on our hands and not doing anything, but now as we look at it, we can see from the aspect of, hey, we got some money to play with next year. But I think that, like you said, we should stay on the same path and trust. Not Chris Richard? What's this guy named? Will McClay? Have you guys ever heard of that guy?
No, I've never heard of this guy. It's
right.
not like he's, you know, responsible for half our roster being Pro Bowlers.
Right, that guy right there. So as long as he have the keys to the operation, as long as he's the mind behind everything, I think that it's just going to be real nice. Because now also if you add in Stephen Jones, what he's able to do too as well, because he don't fall in love with players. It just seems like Stephen Jones is finding a way to elevate this team. And believe it or not, guys, look at this. This is the off season, and we can still talk deeply about our Cowboys. That's something amazing too as well. that's something amazing. I'm sitting here thinking like, man, this is the off season, and I got a lot of material on the Cowboys, and that's something deep that we have within the Silver and Blue Nation. If you cut us, we bleed silver and blue. But the thing is with Stephen Jones and Will McClay in the off season, and what we think that we're going to have to do with the David Irvings, because you know, I think that even though he made a very, very, very bad mistake of not taking a test, and somebody can argue and say, well, he's trying to have or gain custody of his daughter. You know, you missed that test, and you know, you don't have a sweet and lovely past. You know, you have a checker past too as well. So it's things like that that can also benefit us if he somehow, and I don't want to say somehow, have a DeMarcus Lawrence type of season this year. Or do you believe that? Because now we can really lowball him, you know.
Well, for me, I've always been a guy that's, I don't know, man. You know, I said, you know, on my channel, I think you cut David Irving, set an example. And I'm not trying to be, you know, an a-hole or anything, but let's be honest here. You want to say, hey, we want the right kind of guys in our locker room. But
Right.
you want to say then, oh, we want to keep this guy because he's a monster and he comes back onto the field. Now, look, you know, I understand what people are saying with that, and I get it. So, to me, you're going to be in a dilemma. Let's say he does have an outer-worldly season, 12
Right.
sacks. Let's just say he gets 12 sacks in 12 games, which is going to be insane. The dude's going to expect like $15 million, $10 million. And are you willing to pay this to a guy that's known to have had these issues? And I'm not, again, that's just the truth.
Yeah, hey, those convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. So I believe that even though with those truths, hey, stand on them firm, because at the end of the day, we have been labeled pretty much the desperate Cowboys. You think about it, you look at Randy Gregory, you look at David Irving. We've been desperate. Even who's the other guy, Greg Hardy. So we made some crazy deals of going out getting these guys and expecting for them to just come out to the field and have good results. And I could throw in a Rolando McClain too as well. So that labeling us as desperate Cowboys, when you're desperate, you do things like that. And guess what? We have not been winning for all these years. When we do the David Irving situation, when we do the reaching for a Rolando McClain, when we trying to find a way to get Randy Gregory back out there. So, although some other people may disagree with your opinion on that, I'm starting to lean in more to what you're saying, because at the end of the day, everybody have reasonings. but results is what matter. And you said a mouthful. Just go ahead and cut the man and figure out something else down the path.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm relatively young. I'm probably the youngest YouTuber on in terms of the Cowboys. I'm going to be turning 20 in about a month.
Look, man, look.
So
You're one of my favorite YouTubers, man. When you're talking about age, and I always said that, I said this earlier, you have yet to witness a Super Bowl.
yes. Right? See, now, because what's interesting is that I've grown up in the salary cap era. I've seen what the Patriots have been doing, and I would love for the Cowboys to emulate that. Now, look, when I speak about that, that is something that a lot of teams do in this league. Copycat. The Cowboys have tried to do it. It's failed. A lot of teams try that and fail. I mean, look at the Rams. The Rams, they lose in the playoffs. They want to try and keep a leg up on the world champion Eagles, as much as it hates me to say that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you see. You see a lot of these teams just trying to build up their squads, and they do it because they're desperate. They're like, hey, we're that one piece away. Maybe if we get this receiver, Roy Williams, maybe with him and T.O., they can cause some desperate havoc. All this stuff doesn't work out, okay? So for me, the Cowboys have to be patient in this league. They've done a fantastic job, and I think that this is a huge upcoming offseason or two, because you have franchise players that are coming up with their contracts, and you're going to end up having to pay them. I mean,
indeed. Mm-hmm.
So just for those, I talked about Dak, so you're going to see him get about $25 to $30 million, and Zeke might end up getting paid probably $12 million. I mean, the highest paid running back is Devontae Freeman from the Falcons. He gets paid about $8.25 million. So for those that are out there, as much as I don't like saying watch other teams, pay attention to what happens to Le'Veon Bell, because however much money Le'Veon Bell or David Johnson get, expect Zeke to have a big payday.
Yeah, so in that same class of Le'Veon Bell, he's the older guy out of the class, but David, what's his last name again? David for the
Cardinals?
Yeah, Cardinals. What's his name?
Oh, David Johnson.
David Johnson. Okay, David Johnson. That's a big guy. He looked like a receiver running the ball. And who's else going to be in that class? Ezekiel Elliott. One can argue and say Gurley. Okay.
Melvin Gordon. There's a couple.
Gordon. Who else is going to be in that class of getting paid? So would you rather for Zeke to get paid up front first before those guys? Bell's supposed to be the first guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Koyo. No, but yes. Go ahead. No, Bell is supposedly to be the first one because he's still in that franchise tag. But for me, that's going to dictate the market. But if I was the Cowboys, I would try to extend Ezekiel Elliott as soon as possible. And I don't want to be like, oh, well, that's a bit too soon. He's going into his third year. Look, man, at the end of the day, you got to be careful with how the market fluctuates. I mean, look what happened with Sammy Watkins, man. A lot of people, even myself included, I was surprised when he got all that money. Yeah. So when you look at the market, like Jonathan Hankins, people are like, let's go get Jonathan Hankins. People forget he was getting paid $9 million a year. You want to know why he's not signed? Because he wants a long-term deal that pays that much, because he knows he can get paid that much. So
that's deep right there. So yeah, you're right. So I'm looking at Ezekiel Elliott. The good thing is that we got 5 years. We able to go 5 years with him, right? So what would be the fifth year? It would be 2000 and what?
Fifth year, probably 2021.
2021. So pretty much your O-line is signed all the way through 2021, if I'm correct. Everybody is signed all the way through 2021. What the Cowboys need to do in 2020, they need to just go ahead and draft another stud running back and say, okay, Ezekiel Elliott, if you want to play this game, bye. And it's hard for us to say this in 2019, 2018, and 19 and 20. But that's just the reality of it, because that's almost the Patriots way, right?
Yeah.
It's really not the Patriots way. It's just the way that they've been actually handling business, dealing with this salary cap era. Now, if we had no salary cap, then I promise you, you can put in another 3 or 4 Super Bowls up there, because Jerry Jones, he would have figured out a way to get these marquee players in there. And that's just the way. And then look at this too as well, Space. Think about this. Even though we're talking about Le'Veon Bell, do they really, the Steelers organization, do they really pay their players?
Oh, no. It's really probably your key position players, but they've never,
He said, slow your roll. Hey, shout out. Somebody said, slow your roll about Zeke. Hey, Mark's Texans mug. Shout out to you, man. I'm just saying, it's too soon because we really seen pretty much one good year out of Ezekiel Elliott, his rookie year, and then it was kind of like a whirl of a left and right, up and down type of year last year. And this is his third year. We know that running backs normally light fire in their third year. And look at what happened to just probably before your time. I know it is. And it was like a blessing in disguise for us because we saw how valuable he was. It was number 22, Emmitt Smith. He had one hell of a year. Then he held out for 2 years. He held out for 2 games, and he came back with another fire. And then Jerry Jones said, "Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pay this brother." So maybe if Ezekiel Elliott can have the same type of year, like have a ball out blazing year this year. And then the next year he kind of say, okay, I need to at least have something. Because we know for sure that Ezekiel Elliott lost a lot of money due to this domestic violence situation that a lot of sponsors, because he really don't have any sponsors. You don't see him on commercials or anything because they stay far, far away. Hopefully he can win him a sponsor deal so that now we can sweep some money under his pocket,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Zeke Elliott is a once-in-a-generation running back, and I love how people that as soon as he went to the Cowboys, people want to deny that. Look, people were saying he's the most complete running back prospect since Adrian Peterson. So pay the man. I mean, once he gets this, deal ready to get re-signed, pay him.
Do you pay him or do you pay Dak?
I don't know. See, this is the problem. I don't know how the salary cap is going to look in the next couple of years. With quarterbacks going to pay it all this money. I mean, obviously, you're going to say quarterback because you need a quarterback to win in this league. But at the same time, you can argue, well, Zeke Elliott is the engine of this Cowboys offense, and you can get any quarterback. Someone might say that you can get any quarterback to just get behind there and just, do what they got to do. But I digress. I don't personally believe that, but.
Yes, indeed, man. That's just crazy altogether, man. Where we can have to look at the salary cap and see how we can measure numbers and put things together. But moving beyond salary cap, let's talk about expectations. I want to know your thoughts of Rico Gathers. What do you think that he's going to do this year? What are you looking for? Is he going to even make the team?
Probably not. I mean, it depends on how he does in the preseason, obviously. I mean, and obviously you can't judge preseason entirely. Mm-hmm. But based on what Rico has done in the offseason, those antics and stuff like that, I still have faith in him. I hope he does well. I want him to make the team. But when you look at it, they have Blake Jarwin, which he's going to be in the running, but more specifically, Jeff Swaim. He's the de facto starter right now, but we'll see that change probably. You brought in Dalton Schultz. So Rico's going to have to do pretty good. I mean, if the Cowboys are comfortable with 4 tight ends, I'm not saying that they're going to do that, but if they do that, then he's going to make the team. But if you're only going with 3 tight ends, I'm not going to be shocked if he just doesn't make the team.
Yeah, my philosophy with Rico is that he's not a good practice guy, to me personally. That just may be his Achilles heel, that he's not a good practice guy. But on the other end, he just may be a baller. And I don't know if the Cowboys can evaluate a player just being a baller versus a player just being a good practice guy. So we'll see. Hopefully this preseason, Rico is able to not get hit or get concussed or what have you during the offseason, what have you, during training camp by Kevon Frazier. And hopefully he can get out there, put the pads on, and make this team and make something happen. And hopefully they can just find a way to keep him on the field. Because if not, I just have a fear that Rico may find a chance to go to another team and ball out.
I mean, yeah, like it could be like I know you talked about it earlier, Marty B, what happened to him. But the thing was that Marty B, we drafted him, and I'm not saying just because we drafted him here and there, that means that it's any different. But the thing was, we knew what Marty B could be. We don't know what Rico can be, in a sense. Like, we don't know how it's going to translate into the regular season. We saw what Marty B could do in the regular season.
Yes, indeed.
So for me, I mean, we're talking about practice here. But yeah, we're talking about practice. So you can tell. That's why I say take OTAs and mini camps with a great assault, because you could say, well, the defense did this so well against the offense. Then when you come to like actual game time situations, it might not end up being the opposite.
I think who was saying that? I don't know if it was Mike Fisher or Brian Broaders. They call it the underwear Olympics during this time. Everybody looking sharp against ice, I mean against air and stuff like that, and everybody running crisp routes. But when it's time to face up and put press covered corners on them, and if it's time to actually get hit when you come across the middle, it's a different story. It's a different day. It's a different type of feeling. Yes, indeed, man. Let me see. Let me read some shout outs. You got anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, you got my Cowboys family.
Mm-hmm.
You got, I mean, myself, but that's pretty obvious. You got DJ Crown J over at Fifth Quarter Cowboys. You got Dallas Cowboy fan 1980, and you got Dallas Cowboy Football News. Those are the guys I roll with. I mean, just because I mentioned those 5 guys, there are other fantastic guys. You got Dallas Cowboy Talk. Some TCDC. I mean, yourself, Vok. Man, there's so many others. Cowboy
Yes,
Face,
indeed.
you name it. I can go on. I can't. Like, so many people.
Let me give a shout out to Galvin, man, Peters. He the first one in the building. He won first place. I always like to give a shout out to the first person who touched into the chat box. Juice21, hey, you almost was there. You made second place. But he said, what's good, Law? And Jimmy Viles, I hope I said your name right. Sports LA in the house. That's what he said. So those were the 3 right there. And shout out to the Callaway The Best Way, Ant Beast, and Modelly. And who else we got? Sushi 817 in the mix too as well. You guys know Ty Jeff, Hulk Rage, Cowboy Smash. Man, you got to put that smash in there. Boomer, Sumer. Hey, he just made a video today. You guys check out his page.
Oh yeah, it was
Boomer,
really good.
Sooner. Yeah, I love that, man. When you guys make these highlights, hit me up. Post when you guys make highlights. Anybody who's out there is like a highlighter guy or a music guy who like to rap or what have you, hit me up. Post your link down below on one of my videos so I can take a good look at it. I love anything dealing with the Cowboys. That's just me. I don't know about you. I don't know about anybody out there in the world, but that's me. I love Cowboys.
I mean, it's not like we just do this. We just talk about it. I mean,
Yes, indeed, man. I don't know what my boy AKOYE. Hey, man, y'all gonna have to reach out to AKOYE. He said he's on his way. Okay, I was about to say, AKOYE the one that
don't
assembled
leave
this
us
thing.
hanging.
Yeah, tell him, man, we out here waiting for you. Now, everybody out there in the chat box, we want to hear what you want to say. We want to hear what you want to talk about. But he said, AKOYE just text, man. He said he's on his way. So, let me see. We could talk about production. Somebody asked me earlier in the chat box, I forgot your name. You can re-mention your name. You was talking about how many receptions Ezekiel Elliott is going to get for this season. Because I already put out there that Ezekiel Elliott is the best slot receiver we got. How many you think you're going to have, Space?
That's kind of tough because the thing is, I've not seen the Cowboys utilize a running back in the passing game, like a bell cow.
True.
And I don't think, I mean, you could say DeMarco Murray, but Murray was not like, that wasn't his forte. So I really can't answer that, man. I think I would probably say between 50 to 100, depending on how they're, I mean, again, I know that sounds a bit stupid for me to say, but again, I don't know how the Cowboys were using Zeke in the passing game. So.
Well, this came from the show earlier today when I posted the, I think Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp with the picnic black. He had the picnic pink blazer on, brother. He looked like a Starburst mixed with a 9-later, man. He looked crazy out there. But I was talking about receptions and productions and how that's going to come to play. And shout out to, he's not in the chat box, but his name was he put in the comment section below that video, because I was talking about how many receptions each receiver should have, or everybody on the team collectively. And he said this right here. He said Beasley will have 68 receptions, right? Hearns, 79 receptions. My pet cat Gallup will have 43 receptions. T. Will, he's going to get his foot together, and he's going to have 35 receptions. Swain is going to have 46, so he's thinking that Swain is going to win the starting position. And my brother from another mother, Ezekiel Elliott, Zeke the Freak, going to have 55 receptions. That's some good production, man. What you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. It all depends on how the plays look, how the receivers are running their routes, and if Dak can get them the ball. I mean, that's a lot of what ifs. Like, I know that sounds dumb in and of itself. But hey, man, everyone's got a job to do. Look, Dak has to make sure he delivers the ball on time. He's going into his third year. If he ends up messing up, you got to call him out. We can't baby him anymore. Okay. But
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, you got Zeke. Obviously, he's gonna do his thing. As long as we don't run him into the ground, I'm cool with it. But the receivers, man, I think it's gonna be kind of like you're gonna see someone emerge. I feel like Dak's gonna end up getting comfortable with someone, and you're gonna see it show.
Nobody saw Cole Beasley coming and making all those receptions in 2016, right? He just came out of nowhere. And everybody like, man, that rapport that Dak has with Cole Beasley is amazing. And we thought we was going to get a little bit of that in 2017, but it just kind of like teams were like, okay, I'm going to bracket coverage the hell out of Cole Beasley. We're going to press him a little bit. And when he comes across the middle a little bit, we're going to give him a little elbow love, And then on top of that, without Ezekiel Elliott back there, who are we to fear, So... And we already know the problems that we had with Dez Bryant Dak to Dez. We already understood what that was all about. So this year alone, I think that we have guys now that can take the top off the defense, or go boop, take the top off the defense. And that's Tavon Austin, and then also there's Deontay Thompson. These guys are fast, shifty, and they can take the top off the defense. They can do these reverse sweeps and create space on themselves. So I think that this year is going to be a lot different.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, the Cowboys are shifting from the whole idea of the gunslinger offense, like the idea of, hey, let's let the quarterback throw it, and you're going to eventually have to let Dak air it out, because if you don't do that, he's not going to learn certain situations, okay? So I think that definitely this year was a good learning curve for him, especially, the mistakes he made. And obviously you don't want to see anyone make mistakes, but not everyone's going to be perfect, right? So, when people want to criticize Dak, I get it. I just don't think you can't not criticize someone, especially with his caliber. Look, obviously he's going into his third season, and people might say, well, this, that, and a third. But in all honesty, we know that he's got to improve. He's a young quarterback, and I expected him to make mistakes. And at the end of it all, once again, this season entirely depends on how well he does. So
yeah, this is a make or break season for him. We was talking about money earlier, right? If the guy if he want to make some money, then he gonna have to ball out. BALLOUT. He gonna have to ball out, and the only way he can do that is he can work on his footwork, work on his back shoulder fades, and trust me, we talking about Dak friendly. Allen Hearn, he can catch those crazy type balls. And also Michael Gallup, he's like one of those guys. I put a picture out there and said, this brother is nasty. They can catch these weird type of balls. Not saying that that's the only pass that Dak Prescott throws, but it's going to be something different this year. I think that this team, that a lot of people in the NFC East, they're going to be like, okay, we never did our scouting report on these guys because, we just rarely played them. So it's going to be one of those type of things.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I say Dak, he didn't have that, disappointing season compared to what happened, obviously, the previous year. I know that seems a bit stupid to say, but if you compare his stats, he compares to Derek Carr, who got a Pro Bowl nod as a backup, but still, right? And people want to say, well, the third year's a big thing. If he doesn't do so well, he's not going to get paid. Look what happened to Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston. Mariota threw more picks than touchdowns. I know he still made the playoffs and won a playoff game, but that doesn't excuse the fact how he did. But no one's talking about how bad he did. Probably Titans fans are. I don't know. I'm not a Titans fan. Obviously not. Heck no. But but when you look at it, look, Dak is going to make mistakes, and you should be lucky you have him. Imagine what this team would have looked like if we had a Kellen Moore, a Matt Castle, a Brandon Weeden. Man, I watched every single game in 2015, and I can tell you I do not want that to happen again.
You know what would happen? You know what would happen? That little bell would have went off, and it would have said, with the 4th overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys select, would have had a horrible year if we had a Brandon Whedon or a Matt Castle, But neither here nor there.
People were saying that you're a bit quiet. I guess I'm too loud, so I apologize.
Who, me? I'm quiet on
No, yeah, you're quiet on your end, people were saying. I'm sorry if I'm a bit too loud. Let me just make sure my mic's good.
Yeah, let me see. Technical difficulties. We know you got Law Nation, but you got Murphy Law too as well. Murphy always in the mix. Make sure you guys make sure my audio is there. It looks like I got the right mic on. So, hey, also shout out to Shady Dukes. Stated that how can I put this? Make sure I get a little bit close to my mic. Shady Duke said, "What about this right here? Jordan Lewis versus Anthony Brown for the slot position. What are your thoughts?"
Jordan Lewis playing the slot. Well,
they competing against it. They
they are
for it, I guess. Well, and also, who had the better rookie year? Don't throw that in there.
Who between who? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
No. Jordan Lewis or Anthony Brown?
I'll probably say Jordan Lewis. Probably. I mean, I think he had higher expectations, obviously, considering he was a 3rd-round pick, and he really should have gone higher. But then again, it's kind of hard to say how that's going to go. They're young. I mean, I really can't say much on it because I haven't really looked into it. So I'm not gonna try and act like I know what I'm talking about. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm just saying this and I'm not actually know what I'm talking about. But no, and on a serious note, though, look, in regards to what's going on with the secondary, right? Chris Richard is gonna work magic with the secondary, and I know a lot of people are saying, you know what, we need to go get a veteran safety. If they wanted to get a safety, they would have traded up and they would have gotten what's his name, Darren James. If they wanted to go get a veteran safety, heck, hey, we need an ET3, which, by the way, isn't happening. You can go and get him, or you go get a Trey Boston. So I think that Chris Richard is fine with who we have available.
Yeah. So Chris Richard is fine. What's up, man?
What's going on? What's up, bro?
Boy, we were just talking about you, man.
My fault, man. I was hustling back to the house, man. I made it.
Yeah, you made it. Oh. I know you watch tons of film. This is a curveball at you. You're right in the mix.
Let's do it.
Who had a better rookie year, Jordan Lewis or Anthony Brown?
I'm gonna have to say Anthony Brown.
Okay. So we do know for sure with Jordan Lewis, sophomore slumps are available, and I'm not trying to issue them out. So they're talking about battling for undoubtedly in a Chris Richard system.
Right.
I think that everybody is saying in the chat box that everybody's saying that pretty much so they already putting Jordan Lewis into the inside, and it's going to be a battle between Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis.
I can agree with that.
Who you got?
I'm going to take Lewis just out of sheer upside. Right now, I would say Anthony Brown probably has a little bit better technique maybe when he actually does press, because when he presses, he's strong. He's stronger than he looks. But I think overall, Jordan Lewis, just his cover ability is crazy, and his ball skills are crazy. So when he actually gets on the field, I think it'll tip. But that's just going to be like a war of attrition. Just like last year, Anthony Brown beat him out last year, obviously, because he had the hamstring injuries, he and Cheeto. So he beat him out last year. So obviously he knows how to do something. He was our number one corner going into 2017, and that's above everybody. So he knows he has good technique. It's just a matter of applying it at the right times, I think. So who knows how it's going to really shape out. But I like Jordan Lewis just for the type of player he is. And he's just exciting. Even when he misses, it's like you don't really care as much because he's like a Asante Samuels without all the risk.
Now is this right here is truth right here? Is Anthony Brown is the 3rd fastest corner on our team, defensive back? Because we already know Byron Jones, you can't measure his speed. He's like one of the fastest guys on the planet Earth. He's just weird with it.
Yeah, that's not
probably Jeff Heath is number 2. So
that's not the first time I heard it. That's not the first time I heard that. So I can agree with that.
So Anthony Brown is like the 3rd fastest on the team, right?
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, so side to side, line movement. I mean, the way Chris Richard implement his system, he need his guys to be flying side to side. But as far as what I heard is that they sending Anthony Brown more on blitz.
I
That's what
actually
we
like.
rarely see.
I actually like Cheeto in the slot more than anybody when it comes to blitzing. But obviously you don't want to tip your hat and I guess rotate a guy in there and give it away. But I think Cheeto from the slot creates a lot of mismatches for any offense because at the end of the day, you have a guy who can cover out of the slot who also serves as a hybrid safety in the slot. So he can blitz very well as well. He's our overall best cover corner. When I say that, I mean like Byron's probably better at man, and so is Lewis maybe. But Cheeto is definitely better at zone, press, and overall he has the best overall rough skills, and that's probably why he had the higher grade, other than the legal troubles that Lewis had. But I think Lewis was more so graded based on size than anything else when he was coming out.
No doubt. Space, what's good, man?
Man, I'm just listening to the knowledge that's going into my head, man. Obviously I'm not a huge guy on film. Like I don't think I can even do that. But but nah, I'm just soaking in the knowledge that he's spewing out because it's all film.
No,
I love it.
Let me tell you what you're doing. You're accumulating.
Thanks for the plug.
Buddy, he accumulated. By the time you, my guy AKOYE's age, you'll be able to really get into this film. We be talking about, man, that Space Cowboy, man. Dog, that boy is deep with the film, right?
Right.
He accumulated.
I'm more of a money guy. Like I can do all this, contracts and crap right now. Like that's my forte, I guess you could say. But nah, I can't do that crap. I'll leave it to the experts.
Yeah.
AKOYE, are you a whiz on this salary cap deal? What we have in the future?
I haven't really been paying attention to the CBA. I haven't really looked at any news related to it, so I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. But I think every 5 to 10 years they extend it anyway, right? So, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's about time for that, especially with the guaranteed contracts that are coming into play now. That's a little different, like Kirk Cousins type deals, like they've never been done before. So they're going to have to give them some room to alleviate that type of pressure from tying up that type of cash, so you don't have like that Romo effect and that on your team, because we might still be playing Romo going into this year.
We actually are.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like NBA contracts almost without the unlimited cap.
Yeah. Well, I'm just taking topics and I'm just grabbing them in my hand and I'm throwing them and seeing which one stick to the actual Cowboys nature of this world that we talking about, right? So why you didn't ever tell me about Daytona Jones, AKOYE? Why you didn't tell me about that brother, man?
I haven't seen a lot of him. I saw him at the end of last year. I remember him and Ash, they were serviceable, but I just didn't see enough of him to say, that he was one of my favorites. And I definitely haven't watched a lot of film on him. I've gotten to the point where I'm at I think I'm at Seattle as far as accumulating the film for the defensive line video I'm going to do. So he's in there, but I haven't started to edit it yet. So once I start editing, then I'll see who's doing what. But so he's in there, though. He's in the mix somewhere.
Look, let me tell you something, man. I started looking at Daytona Jones film, and I'm sitting there like, okay, let me see why the Cowboys went and got him, right? So I went and started looking up film against Daytona Jones versus the Cowboys. This guy, now football is about a game of inches, and sometimes you can win battles against the top elite players.
Right.
But when he beat Tyron Smith, I said, okay, this is his rookie year. I was like, okay, what else can he do? This guy is good against the run. He's very underrated in that, and he's explosive, got good hands.
What's his size? What's his measurables?
Same as Dorrance Armstrong a little bit, but a whole lot bigger. He's 6'4.5", 288 pounds, 290.
Yeah, I thought he was a tackle. Honestly, I thought he was a tackle.
Right, he's versatile. He can play even or odds. He's one of those guys too as well that he got quick burst and separation. Now the flaws on him, as we say, the good, the bad, and then we talking about the ugly right now.
Right.
Is that although he's consistent in senses, but he still plays with a high pad level. And then on times too as well, when it's getting down to like technique, sloppy technique, as he get tired or exhausted, he begins to lose some of that motor function, that high power motor function. So he's a good rotational guy.
Yeah, but that plays right into Marinelli's defense anyway, because he's not asked to play at his mid level or pace himself for an entire game. He's asked to play at his max for maybe a third of a game. So that's a little bit different. So maybe if he doesn't burn himself out with this type of rotation that we have, I'm keeping my fingers crossed without jinxing anybody, because I've been jinxing people. Like, yeah. I think we getting Randy Gregory back though.
Oh shit! Let me be a drum major around this mug, man.
Gotta say it.
Go ahead, give me your thoughts on Randy, man.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what to expect when he gets back, because he's been out for so long. But I honestly hope that it's just a matter of getting his technique back, rather than getting in shape and then having to figure his technique out, because we might have him on the field as far as spirit and in clay form, but he won't be all the way there if he has to do too much when he gets back. If it's just a matter of one or the other, meaning he has his technique but he needs to get in shape, fine. Might make a 4 to 6 week type endeavor before he's back to full wind and getting the second wind or whatever. But if it's both, then he might not be at form until maybe the playoffs. And and I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just saying you got to think about it. If he has to get in shape, it's going to take him at least 3 weeks, 4 weeks as into the season. And that's without taking any nicks, dings, bumps, whatever. And then if he has to get his technique down, that's going to come with reps and practice. So that takes time. So hopefully, he gets he's back before training camp or before the end of training camp. He gets some reps, high reps in preseason, and we'll get to see whether or not he's been around the game and keeping his head in the game. They say he's real smart, though. They say he has a real high Wonderlic score. So hopefully he's like Sean Lee and keeps his head in the game, and is really close to the post, sort of, and it's not really a lot of rust to shake off.
Yes, indeed. What is your, both of you guys, can you guys hear me? Because I see you leaning in. I hope my voice.
Oh yeah, I can hear you. I
can hear you.
I was on my kitchen counter, so I'm leaning.
Oh, okay. I'm making sure, because I heard somebody say, "Hey man, you got to speak it up." I just got a deep voice.
Oh, can you guys? Can everybody hear me or no? Because I know I'm monotone right now.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this is the thing. I'm gonna ask both of you guys. You don't have to go look up Webster, but what is your definition of desperate? Or give me an example of somebody being desperate. What is your definition?
What do you mean? It depends on the context.
I'm about to just say something. Desperate. I said it earlier. I already threw it out there earlier. I'm tearing up the place. But what is your definition of desperate? Just give me your definition.
I mean, when someone is overly active in pursuit of a non-noble endeavor, I guess. And sometimes it can be a noble endeavor. You could be desperate for something that is noble. So I guess it's just an overzealous pursuit of a thing.
A pursuit of a thing. Space, what you got for definition?
I mean, I said myself, but on a serious note, though, it depends on the angle you look at it. I mean, if you're an organization, a team that's desperate, i.e. the Rams, they're desperate because they feel like, hey, we need to contend now because of how these other teams in the NFC are stacking. So, hey, let's go get all these players. If you're a player, oh man, I need to get this contract done. If not, then I'm in a bad situation. It all depends on the perspective of the person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's perspective in a sense. And I don't know, with the chat box, put you guys' definition of desperate. Somebody can put out Webster's definition of desperate, right?
Somebody said, "Are we playing football or taking the SAT?"
This is the Wonderlic score right here, baby. All right, so this is the thing. Reason why I'm crafting this story together. The Dallas Cowboys for the last 20 years, we've been desperate in a sense. We've been trying to figure out a way.
I mean, desperate in a sense, like from a fan standpoint, yeah, we've been desperate.
I think Jerry Jones, Jerry been desperate.
He has been acting like it. He make decisions where it's like, questionable characters or, just non-decisions or non-committal decisions. He do it all the time. And it's like, he doesn't play like it matters.
2 first rounds for a
right.
Twice. I think 2 first rounds. What was this guy name?
It was Galloway,
Joey
Galloway, and Roy Williams. Oh, I remember the Roy Williams.
He seemed like he James Bond at the roulette table. When
Right.
that's how he do GMing. You know, he just take gambles, and sometimes they pay off though. Because I think Jalen Smith is going to be one of those gambles that paid off. Chris Canty had a great career. You know, he was a gamble that paid off. And then you have, you know, your others like Hardy's, those type of guys that don't pay off so well. But even Pac-Man, he gave Pac-Man a second chance, and Pac-Man just, you know, he's still playing in the league now. So
My guy Mike Fisher used to call it second chance Valley Ranch, you know.
yeah, that's what it is too.
But this is the other thing too as well. It's different forms, like you said, and I like crafting into you guys' mind. You guys said there's different ways and views that you can look at it. It's different types of desperate. Just because a guy, ladies that's in the chat box, just because a guy sending you roses doesn't mean that he's desperate, right? You know, he's just trying to get your attention.
Right.
Just because a guy hold the door for you, not mean he's thirsty. And you know that's the young thing that everybody say now. Guy hold the door for a lady, he's desperate or he's trying to be thirsty. Think about this, Bruce Carter situation. Remember that?
Yeah.
That doesn't fall in the same category as a Randy Gregory.
That's like Bobby Carpenter, man.
Well, Bobby Carpenter, that's reaching. And also Sean Lee. We drafted Bruce Carter and Sean Lee. These guys were pretty much already injured in a sense.
Yeah.
Before they even came and played to the National Football League, and then we did the same thing with Jalen Smith. So, do you put those things in the same category as a David Irving or as a Randy Gregory?
I mean, I think the thing that you ever heard the term like success sometimes is a bad thing. Like sometimes when you win, you really lose. And I think that's really
hold on. You know you love movie respite.
Oh yeah, that's White Man Can't Jump.
White Man Can't Jump. Oh,
yeah. I already know. I know it.
Yeah. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Break it down.
But basically the fact that Jimmy Johnson came in here, and I'm not taking a lot of credit away from Jerry Jones. I think Jerry Jones brought someone in. I think the only person at that time, and maybe another person exists, who knows, but I think he brought in a person at that time in Jimmy Johnson who wasn't afraid to challenge him and do what he really wanted to do with this team. And you see how that ended. But I think bringing him in was the leeway necessary in order to create that catalyst for Super Bowl. But the fact that he won, so aside from that fact, the fact that he won after Jimmy Johnson left with Switzer and with a lot of misfits like Irvin, you know, half the team was partying since you know, the Doomsday era. They've been partying like Henderson, I think was Hendricks or Henderson. I forgot. Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood was a party animal. All those dudes used to party. So it's like when you can win, you know, during his era anyway, when you can win with guys who were snorting coke or who are like the bad boys of the league, who still show up on practice day and ball out. When you can win with those types of guys, you're not as afraid to take a chance on that type of guy because you feel like, you know, he starts to feel like a little lion tamer, you know, like he can, you know, control that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we're in a different day and age, obviously. So, see, this is what I've learned from my experience. I mean, again, I'm not even 20 yet, so I haven't experienced the glory days, unfortunately. So, Jerry knows, like, he has experienced success, like you mentioned, AKOYE. He's been, you know, seen, you know, holding the Lombardi Trophy, you know, showcases his rings. He's used to that. So his thought process is, hey, if I can do this to get Super Bowls, it should work now, which he hasn't adjusted to. The Patriots have adjusted, obviously. They were like the Siberia of the NFL. Guess what? They adjusted, and now they're the next biggest thing since the Cowboys have been. So, I mean, you know, from my perspective, I think that the Cowboys have failed to adjust to this day and age of the NFL. I think they're now just coming around to it, but there are still some things that are lingering from the 90s, and I'm not just referring to game plan or anything of that, you know, nature. I'm referring to how Jerry conducts business and all that other stuff.
Right.
So I'm thinking like what you're saying is that the I guess the salary cap era, messed Jerry Jones up then, because
of course.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because it kind of like
it was done. Like it was sort of like the palming call, like the carrying call in the NBA that kind of changed AI's game. The salary cap was put in place to stop us in San Fran from dominating any longer. I think so.
I think that those two owners at the time, they would just do just about anything. And then you can throw in Al too,
And,
as well, Davis.
exactly.
They would do just about anything. And you look at the Yankees, although this is a cross talk sports thing, the baseball team, the Yankees, I don't think they have. Do they have salary? They don't have salary cap in the.
Nope, they don't.
If I'm about to say if they do, it's ridiculously high.
Yeah, right. Teams have payrolls. I mean, that's why you've seen the Yankees win a lot. Who else? Like the Red Sox. That's the reason why they don't have a salary cap.
Yeah, national, right. The NBL, whatever they call themselves. But or the World Cup, the soccer league. I don't think they have a salary cap. So. Right. I mean, if we're looking at the future of what the Cowboys are doing, I think that we're making these adjustments now. It's just that we wish, as Cowboys fans, if they did this like 10 years ago.
Right.
If why we couldn't hired Will McClay 10 to 11, 12 years ago, right?
Right.
And Steve
it takes that's what I'm saying. It's going to take a while for somebody that stubborn to realize, like, hey, I need to let somebody else do something or trust somebody else to do something. He still doesn't officially call Will McClay the GM when Will McClay is definitely supposed to be the GM. He just creates new terms like you're just gonna be this now. You know what I mean? He's just crazy with it.
I always like the segue. The segue was we have yet to hear an interview, and I don't know if you guys might know. Have you ever heard an interview of Jerry Jones this year? Addressing the team, addressing what we need to do, what we want to do.
Not much. I think he talked about Dez.
Last year around this time, he'd have been made like several interviews.
Oh yeah, not around now. No, he hasn't said anything.
He's gonna do some things.
Except that he's he was talking about Randy Gregory not too long ago.
Oh, so he did make something. Then again, it could be just the Dallas Cowboys website this year. They squeezing a lot of stuff out. They used to pump a whole bunch of stuff out. We used to be like glued to the website. And then if you go to the website now, hell, half of the stuff is not even showing up. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing.
It look like they overhauling it though. It's changing.
Yeah. Yes, indeed, man. So what other topic you got in your mind? Because I can just toss out a lot of stuff that's going on my list.
Man, go ahead. Let's start something up.
Listen, they need to take Jerry, tie him up, throw him in a closet, and don't make him come out until we win the next Lombardi.
Oh, well, I mean,
I'm playing, but no.
That's like kidnapping, murder. I want to go this line.
Hey, if that happened, look, hey, this is not us coercing. This is not us.
Right.
Coup d'etat. Cowboys.
The viewpoints carried by Space Cowboy did not represent the views of AKOYE media. Gotta say that publicly.
Yeah, disclaimer, right?
Right.
Yes,
it wasn't me.
Man. All right, so I can talk about the Jalen Smith, and we can talk about like the projected, expectations that we have of him. Which one of you guys want to go first?
I mean, I guess you could go.
I'm about to say I see somebody to snatch AKOYE up. Yeah.
No, I had to go get a spoon for my soup. But
talk about Jerry, you make you disappear around this thing.
Right. No, but I think with Jalen playing at full speed where he can change direction, if he can carry over what he did at the end of last season into this season, and we can get teams off the field where he's not, asked to stress it too much. And then he has Joe Thomas behind him, so maybe they don't ask him to cover as much, because I think with rehabbing, and a lot of players do this when they rehab, like Willis McGahee, he did it, they lose some speed and some agility because they have to put so much muscle around their wounded area. So they get stronger, but they get a little slower. So I think, he's not as shifty as he was right now, and obviously because of the injury, but also I think he's bigger than he was when he was playing for Notre Dame. So I think having a guy in there who can cover on third downs like a Joe Thomas is a good help. And then, Van Der Esch and Lee can cover. And I'm not saying Jalen can't. I just said, last year that if it was a weakness of his, that was it, other than his injury.
Space.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think Jalen is definitely going to have some improvement, because I think where he played, the middle linebacker position, it didn't really fit him. I mean, he's not really a coverage guy. You know, we saw, I mean, he definitely showcased how well he was with stopping the run, especially in the latter part of the season.
Right.
My thing is that I think Van Der Esch, excuse me, I think Van Der Esch is going to do a much better job than what Jalen did. And that's no disrespect to him. I just think that Jalen is he's more suited for the Sam as opposed to the middle linebacking position. But then again, he was getting his confidence back.
Right. I think he's more suited for the Sam if he comes in with the same limitations from last year. Because last year he was good at coming downhill. He can come downhill all day. So I think if he's still limited, then yeah, put him at the Sam. But if he's not limited, I don't mind him in the middle if he can move. We'll be able to see in like preseason whether or not that's true. But if he can move, then cool. I think Jalen overall has the potential to be the best linebacker on his team in a year or two. I mean that's even better than Sean Lee if he can get his ability to change direction back, because he pass rushes, I think, better than most linebackers in the league, in my opinion. Like watching how many moves he had when he was, even though it was just practice, but he just, he had moves on top of moves. So I think that element, along with the fact that, he is quick and explosive, I think he could be the best on his team. So if he's not limited, I like him in the middle. If he is limited, then yeah, you're right at Sam, because that doesn't require him to sort of chase plays from behind. He's like the hammer on the defense, which would be good.
Hammer indeed. So the thing that we didn't see all last year is backpedaling. And as the Mike, you want your guy to either backpedal out of his stance, still have his eyes down the field, and able to see where the ball is at and locate the ball. And what Jalen Smith was doing last year, he'll compensate. Although he's like a freakish athletic guy, he was still, when the ball is in the air, you'll see him, or when he's trying to get back off his stance. I'm trying to act that out. I wish I had like one of those.
He would go sideways.
He'll turn his back sideways. And what happened when you turn your back, guys? You can't see you can't see the opposition, So that's the thing. And we saw him give up a lot of plays and shed off and got, gobbled up on some blocks too as well, by him not being able to keep his lower body or center of gravity down below. So with that being said, with both of you guys, I agree to a degree. I agree to a degree. That's kind of, a good word to put that together. I agree to a degree that at the Sam position, he will be better suited. But at the end of the day, I would refuse to put a rookie at Mike at this point, unless you're just willing to say, okay, I trust the development of this player. But that Mike position, man, you got
they say that's
responsibilities.
Even though that's the hardest position to learn, it's the quickest. It has the quickest learning curve, and that's coming from I think our boy Romo actually said that first. But that's where I heard it anyway, and it makes sense because the mic actually has the communication mic and devices in his helmet. So he hears the play first. So it's actually better for a young linebacker to actually be the mic, because they have more time to assess what they need to be doing, rather than hearing it firsthand from, Sean Lee, or secondhand, from Sean Lee or Jalen. It's coming right to him first. So he has to, and he learns the playbook faster because he's the one getting every play. So he has no choice. He's repeating them more and he's hearing them first. So that's actually the quickest way to teach a linebacker the defense is by giving them the communication device.
Yeah, and guys, everybody know that when you have that mic position, that's why everybody loves the size factor, the 6'4" to 6'5" frame. When you being that tall, you can creep up on top of the line, and then you can back out of your stance too as well. Anything across the middle, you can use that length and that reach and that strength to be able to knock the ball down and also shed blocks up the middle. So that's why prototype, as far as LVE is such a guy that everybody was saying that he reminds me of Rolando McClain, because of that size. You got to have that up the middle.
Right.
Look at that, man. We're talking some good football. People didn't know we were going to get into this type of talk.
We got deep.
That's nice, boy. It's a double edge. You're cutting on both sides, offense and defense. Hey, AKOYE, before you came on, man, we was talking about projections, like offense projections. Will it be better? Would it be better? Would it be better for Allen Hurns to get 79 catches or 89 catches or 80 catches? Or would it be better for Cole Beasley to get 80 catches? I
don't think it's going to be either, though.
Oh.
I don't. I think I've been working on a video, just watching Dak, just trying to figure out what Dak friendly really means.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember it's a dude named Brandon, I think. Brandon Holloway he had when he was in college, number 10. Was a Lance Dunbar, Tavon Austin type player, just quick running back / wide receiver guy. And they used him similar to the way they used Lance Dunbar Dak's first year. And then I don't think people pay attention to that impact. But when you're running like an inside zone, right, for the RPO. So if you're doing an inside zone read where the running back is like on the opposite, on the back shoulder of the quarterback, right? Now, if you have a slot receiver that's quicker than Cole, so I think they were trying to do that, and I think that's what Switzer was talking about. He said they wanted him to be more of a running back than a wide receiver. I think that's what he was talking about, because I think they were trying to use Switzer in that way because he's a little more explosive than Beasley. But if you watch how they use Holloway, I think that's how they're going to use Tavon Austin. So I think Tavon is he's the answer to still running the ball in 8 to 9 man fronts without having to pass, because you have to leave someone to be someone honest to play the backside, because you have to respect any motion, any jet sweep motion that Tavon actually pulls, whether he gives him the ball or not. You have to respect it because that's his game. He's dangerous from there. So, and then he also can stretch the field. So I think Tavon, he might not get the most receptions, but I think he's the most pivotal. He ended up, and I'd say behind him is going to determine. It's going to depend on who actually starts at tight end. But I like the kid Schultz because he can block. Like if we have him and Noah Brown, if they can get into the lineup somehow and get on a 53-man roster, I think we can still run the ball down people's throats. You know, we have a lot of tools for that. Now, as far as passing is concerned, I don't think we're going to be better. I don't.
You don't. All right, so yeah, and I was looking at what you were saying, and when I was looking at Tavon Austin's film, regardless of what people say about him, as far as him washed up or what have you, they still respected that speed. That's one thing that, you know, you play defense, you don't want to get burned out there. You don't want to look like a struck match out there on the field, and you want to get the coaches talking about you on film day the following days and saying, "Hey man, we saw you get burned, bro. You got burned." You know, so that's the last thing you ever want to happen to you.
Right.
So the only way you can compensate that is playing a little deeper than the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you're talking about Tavon Austin, and I see those teams that play man, they're gonna be like, "Nah, coach, I'm not gonna press this man. I'm not gonna get too close on the line." And, go ahead.
He was honestly.
Hold on. I don't think Tavon can beat the press consistently.
No. Check it.
Yeah, go ahead.
His year with Nick Foles in 2015, that was his best year. He had like 478 receiving yards or rushing yards, and 450 receiving yards. Either or, it was vice versa. But I know those were his numbers, like total. He had about 900 yards total, right? And he had 9 touchdowns, I think, that year. But the way they were using him was, I think, exactly how a Dak Prescott would use him. And you remember the Eagles ran the RPO in the playoffs last year and in the Super Bowl. And I think that's the way Nick Foles was effective with Tavon Austin before with the Rams, because of that run-heavy RPO-ish. It was a read option or wishbone style offense from Fisher. But even in that offense, I think, you know, he was able to use Austin on the wing. Like Austin was keeping people out of the box. So it was good for Gurley and it was good for him. So they both would feed off each other. And I think he's going to do the same thing with Zeke. If Zeke's only dealing with half a field, we saw how our offensive line was able to block 9-man front straight up without any creativity. You know, we're running right at you. We're not going to give you any misdirection, nothing, just coming right at you. So imagine when you have 4 defenders that have to play backside help because you have somebody coming and threatening with that jet sweep, and Zeke's only dealing with half a field, and you have pulling guards and so on that can get out in front of that. Like it's going to be monstrous as far as the running game is concerned.
Woo-wee. Yeah, that's what I love to hear. Space, what's going on, man? Space Force, what's going on?
Oh, man, you know, once again, I just want to, man, you know, we all love listening to all that knowledge coming through, you know, into our minds. But when you know, and I know AKOYE mentioned the passing game, it's not probably going to be as, you know, good or as, you know, fantastic people might say it might be. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, I can get what he's saying. I mean, I think it's a lot of question marks. Like, hey, you know, can Dak get comfortable? Can he see what he did wrong in year 2 and build off of that? And I think he has
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think he has definitely the intangibles to do that, you know, and I understand that, you know, he did have a down year and there were mistakes he made. I think that, and I definitely think that this is a no excuses year for him. We're taking the training wheels off.
I think they're treating him just like they treated Cam Newton when Cam Newton had the down year. He said, let me just get back to being me. And what Dak said when he was visiting Mississippi State, they said, you know, what is the Dak-friendly offense? He said, I think a lot of what you saw me do here. And when I'm watching this film now, trying to figure out how we're going to use Tavon, like I said, watching Holloway, there's a big dude, number 1. He had a weird name. He was like 6'5", though. He used to throw to all the time.
His name was Fred. I forgot, but he was lefty too as well.
Yeah, he was throwing a lot of. He had to throw a lot of tightly contested passes to this dude because he wasn't very fast. So it was like I don't know, his accuracy. It was there. Like, that's being honest. On the film in Mississippi and also in 2016. I think Dak's issue was trying to sort of like Donovan McNabb, and I'm not trying to say he is him, but just trying to develop into a pocket passer due to your quest to be, you know, to set a certain legacy rather than just being true to who you are. And I think if Dak gets back to the RPO spread offense, that read offense, inside zone reads, outside zone reads, and jet sweeps all day long, I think between the 20s, he's going to be great. It's just a matter of actually, you notice even in college, this is true. He doesn't really have a go-to goal line type of presence. He likes to run the ball in within the 20. So it's like either he's running or he's going to create some sort of time with his legs and throw a pass. It's like never a timing route, very rarely, unless it comes off a play fake in the red zone. And he has to work on that. He has to get some timing down with either Hearns or Gallup or Rico. You know, whoever he wants to be that target, he needs one, because I think that's where we suffered. If you watch most of our games last year, we were killing people with field goals, but we couldn't drive it in there sometimes. And I think a lot of that came to us not having a go-to move in the red zone other than running the ball.
Other than running the ball. Now, this is the thing that I'm glad you brought that up. And, you know, I love money zone, red zone, green zone. You guys know how I say that, right? The thing is, when Romo was down there in the red zone, money zone, green zone, he had a special touch, and it developed over the years with with Dez Bryant. You know, that back shoulder fade. It kind of seemed like, okay, when we get down there to that point, here he goes. Everybody knew in the world that back shoulder fade was coming. But Romo knew how to craft the ball into that spot, right? Now, this could be 10, 15 years from now. Dak Prescott would not throw that type of ball, okay? So we're going to put that out there and put that into the shelf.
Right.
But on the other end, what Dak Prescott brings to the table when he's down there to that money zone, green zone, red zone is that RPO stance, like you were saying. He's a big brother, you know. When he gets down there, I don't want him trying to force the ball to do a fade. He can still do the RPO, or he can feed the baby Zeke, or he can just take the ball and just get that ball like Cam Newton does. And then, believe it or not, Tom Brady does it a lot to his way, because Tom Brady, when he get down there, he don't do a lot of fades. He actually take that ball, and you see him doing a quarterback sneak, or he giving it to his running back, or he giving it to the Gronk. You know how that goes, right?
Man.
So that's why Gronk have all those touchdowns too as well.
Yeah,
go ahead, Space.
No, I was just gonna say, like, that's the thing though, is that when you bring up Brady, he has that go-to guy, you know, like he has that huge target to go to. That's his signature thing, right? With Dak, we don't know what that's going to be. I'm not saying he's never going to. Well, it's going to be the RPO, obviously, but I'm talking about the targets he's throwing to, right? Like, you could say, oh, he's going to run an RPO, but if you don't have anyone that can do that position or do that scheme or whatever good, it's not going to work. So,
well, I mean, but we've gone out. I think that's why we didn't run it as much last year. We didn't have a flex type of guy, you know, that can create mismatches like Tavon Austin. I think they were trying to use Beasley that way, but Beasley is a guy where if you give him the ball, you know, on a 7-yard out route, he's quick enough to get open, but he's not explosive where he's going to, you know, break them big every time. You know, he'll get you a first down here or there. But Tavon Austin, anywhere you give him the ball, he's, you know, a home run threat. And you can see that, as I said, in his 20, he was a victim of coaching change, I think. I think McVay didn't want to use him the same way Fisher did, so he kind of went down in numbers and declined based on Goff and McVay, rather than it being him not being effective as a receiver, because he was actually getting better. He was on a steady ascension prior to Jeff Fisher getting fired. He was doing better each year.
Yes, indeed. And hey, like I said before, a lot of people taking my comments and throwing it out and getting them understood what I'm saying with Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady gets the name Psycho Tom because he does actually take the ball. You see, AKOYE, you watch plenty of film. Space, you saw plenty of film. Right. Psycho Tom, he will actually run that ball in, or he would dive in and he would do some plays like that to score a touchdown. Yeah. And then his guy is Gronkowski. You know, Gronkowski has pretty much more touchdowns than Dez Bryant, if I'm not mistaken. You know,
I don't know.
As far as when you tossing that ball in the red zone, once they get to the red zone,
right.
He is a huge target. And then on top of that, Bill Belichick is one of those guys from the old school line of coaching. When you get down there to the 20, they're going to try to run and pound the ball too as well. So let's not forget about that. LeGarrette Blount's of the worlds when they had him, and then whoever they had before that, they actually like to use that running back in that situation, because you want to be able to at least try to maximize your chances of scoring. Because passing, you have more chances of losing the ball. You have the ability to fumble. You have the ability to get the ball picked off. You have so many errors when you're talking about passing versus to a run when you're then in that red zone style. And that's the old Parcells way and the old Bill Belichick's ways of coaching.
I mean,
so you're going to get some type of money when you get down there, right?
I mean, but until Dak starts to show that he's slowing down due to the injuries, I think you treat him like LeBron or treat him like Cam Newton, like they don't break, because the type of holes that'll be opening up when we actually get to running a real spread offense again, they'll be there, and quick and easy reads will be there, because it's easier post snap adjustments, because you kind of know pre-snap where your guys are going or who's in motion. So if you read pre-snap, you kind of know post-snap or after the ball snap who's actually going to break open based off of the coverage. Like if you're running like a bubble screen or whatever, and they're running cover 2, there's no one going to follow in motion. So once that slot receiver or that second receiver, that X receiver or Z receiver gets to the other side of the field, he's automatically has numbers because he has another receiver that's over there lined up with just that corner. And Tavon actually was running that a lot with Nick Foles. So that's why I'm mentioning it.
Yeah, the thing is, what I wanted to know too as well, like I did read some reports of what Brian Brothers was saying with Dak Prescott. He was starting to look off his receivers and pass the ball down the field. But another thing that I really want Dak Prescott, remember I said this offseason I want him to work on his pre-snap reads, his footwork, but I want to know his progressions. Now, you probably know this a little bit more than what I do, AKOYE. You said that what do Dak Prescott really read? Do he read from the outside in, or do he read from the inside out?
I mean, it changes every play, just like anybody else, I think. But it depends on whoever.
What's his more comfortable level of reading his progressions? Is he think? I think most so.
He was doing like 2 extremes, like in the video, No Excuses. If you just put it on mute, right? Because a lot of people like to argue with what I'm saying. But if you just put it on mute and watch it, just like you watch a fight, right? But put it on mute and watch it, and ignore whatever feelings I was in when I recorded it. But once you watch and you see, like he goes extreme, so he'll look extreme right, skip middle, extreme left, or he just has a different type of clock. It's like he's more so going to spots rather than reading. See what I'm saying? It's like it's like he's like at A and he said, all right, I'm gonna jump to E, see what's over there, but not reading what should be over there based on the coverage he sees. He just looks to the left. He says, all right, that's not open. I'm going to look over here and see what's open. But that's like a see it, throw it mentality. And by the time that's what makes him look like he has a slower release, because he has to see it first and throw it instead of anticipating. And I know people look at that like it's hate, but those are most of his passes. And that's usually why when you look at our passes, our longer passes in the 2017 season, most of them are receivers deep facing the quarterback. When your receiver is deep facing the quarterback, it's either a jump ball or it's a late ball, or the ball is off because it's supposed to be called over his shoulder and stride. I'm not coming at him when I say that. I'm just saying, like, that just lets you know that his deep ball wasn't as crisp as it was in 2016 last year. And a lot of people want to blame sacks for that. But as I said, like the last 8 months, I think it was a culmination of a lot of things. I think it was frustration. I think it was injury due to the offensive line injury. He didn't have the same mentorship and veteran quarterbacks behind him. And then also, he had no chemistry with Dez. And along with that, I think he was a little gun shy from Atlanta. So all those things coming together, he didn't play well down the stretch of the last 8 games. And that's saying something. So, for me and anyone else, like everyone in the nation has to want him to get better. You can't say you don't want that on tape anymore. You know what I mean? So when I say that, they're like, "Hey, man, you hating?" That's not hate, man. That's like, do you want it on tape? Like Willie Beeman threw up, any given Sunday. Did he want to do that every game? No. He's gonna stop eventually. We're gonna get better than that.
Yes, indeed. On my previous stream, I was talking about how big Dak Prescott's shoulders are. And when we were talking about, I think you kind of mentioned that before, like when he have these big broad shoulders, you can pretty much see the angle that he's throwing. And what makes Cam Newton's different from him is Cam Newton's 6'5", so he's a little bit longer, lengthy wise. So his shoulder's not as broad as a Dak Prescott.
Right.
And then on top of that too, as well, I'm thinking that this offseason somebody been coaching and talking to Dak Prescott, and that's why he actually lost weight. He lost some pounds, man. He looks slim. Looks a lot slimmer out there. So
you look back
hopefully
to
his feet's gonna be So hopefully his feet is a little bit more quicker out there in the pocket. Hopefully he can go through his progressions a whole lot better, and he stick to this is the zone I'm in. Kind of like when when you play that old school Madden, when you had that the QB vision.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you can see it gradually move over, but like you said, he was just through his progression too quick.
The problem is this though, and nobody understands why would we run the RPO at times and then go back into the I form and power formations. And I think we do that because I think Zeke runs better out of those formations rather than out of an RPO style offense. But Dak performs better in the RPO. He passes better out of it. But that kind of creates a tendency which makes you predictable because Dak doesn't have to worry about what his foot position is or how much depth he has on a throw when he just takes 3 steps, 2 steps, or 1 step from the shotgun position out of that RPO look. And he gets a free read once he acts like he's handing it to Zeke. He gets a free read. That first read is free because usually a defensive end is going to freeze. So if he freezes just to pay attention to his obligation on the edge, that gives Dak a free read. So that helps Dak. But it also hurts him because he doesn't get to get the experience from under center, which is why I think he took a step back last year because we weren't trying to do things that solely made him comfortable. We were trying to give him the real offense. And I think he's comfortable right now in an RPO offense because he doesn't have to worry about his foot placement or his drops.
No doubt, man. That's some good stuff, man. This is some good stuff. Space, what you got, man?
I mean, look, man, like I said, this year's a no excuses year, not even just for Dak. That it goes for everybody. I mean, because, we saw what happened in 2017 and the organization was probably like, hey, we need to do this to put us in the position to be successful in 2018, right? Whether that be, hey, we need a Dak-friendly offense, so let's release this guy, let's get these dudes, draft these guys, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get the coaching staff in place. Okay, I think this is going to fit our young team and all that other stuff. So when you see it all come together, it's like you can't tell me, oh, well, this happened and this happened. It's like, but if you look at it, if they're all fully healthy and problems do occur, it's on them. You can't tell me, like I said, the training wheels are off for Dak, and I want him to succeed. He is my quarterback. Right. And I don't have a problem if someone says, hey, he needs to work on this, this, and this. Like, if you are trying to go to school, right, do you want the teacher to just blow smoke up your rear end and say, hey, you're doing this all right, don't worry. No, tell me what I'm doing wrong, and I can perfect what I'm doing in the class. And that's exactly how it is in football and in any sport. So, yeah.
And I think the criticism of him, though, on my part, and I don't regret anything I say, but I think the criticism on my part comes from the fact that I started off discussing a wide receiver in Des Bryant and the receiving core by and large. And you can't talk about that in a vacuum. You can't talk about it as if it's independent from who's delivering the ball. So once I started looking into Des, I automatically started looking at Dak as well. And when I did that, a lot of people were like, oh, that's hate. But at the end of the day, a miss is a miss. And I think between the two individuals and the coaching staff and other players, like we all know what's drawn up. They know what's drawn up. And when those things are missed, everybody's responsible, from the coaching staff not preparing them to the two of them with them not sort of going to a passing camp like Dak's doing right now with the receivers. And I think a lot of that came from the fact that how that is when you go into a place where, as I said in another video, where you had a popular manager and you have some other guys who are seniors, and you got this young guy that comes in and he's supposed to be your new supervisor, but you got to train him and you got to show him the ropes. Like, you don't really respect him as much. And I think just by natural default, it created, just even the rookie hazings, that may take place. It creates a power dynamic where, Witten and Dez and Scandrick and those guys, although, Dak was the captain, I don't think it's as easy to lead a team of offensive players, not necessarily that are older than you, but those that have more seniority on the team than you. So I think now having a team, think about the offense. There's nobody that can tell Dak, the offensive line is going to listen to whatever he says, because what do they care as long as they block, and they're good. Mm-hmm. The receivers are going to listen because they're all young or they're new to this team, other than Beasley and T. Will, and they're not like your more outspoken types anyway. So I think the receiving core is all under his command, and then all of our running backs are pretty young, minus Tavon. So and Darius Jackson's still young too. So I don't really think there's anybody on that offense that can say, hey, Dak, this or that. So he has command of that offense finally, with the absence of Witten and Dez.
Yeah, I know it's kind of finicky when people talk about Dak and bring up certain things he needs to work on. There's a distinct difference between the constructive criticism and the hate. Hate would be I just think he sucks, and not provide any context to the situation. Constructive criticism is like you mentioned, hey, you need to work on footwork, he needs to work on his reads, and every quarterback needs to work on their game.
No doubt.
And and that goes for any position too, right?
Right.
So there's a distinct difference between the constructive criticism and the hate. Hate is when you are just saying, negative things without providing back feed.
Right. Yeah, like he's a bum or something.
Exactly.
Yes,
yeah, I don't say that.
Well, let me read the Q&A, man, from the chat.
Yeah, because they get
mad. Yeah, they're all going.
They having a whole conversation in here without the nation. Hey, shout out to 5 Group. He in the building. He said Tom Landry said if you win the battle of converting third downs, you will win. And hey, third down is the key. Guys. That's why I said when Ezekiel Elliott is out there. And this is a good point. Very good point. Good point from 5 Group. When Ezekiel Elliott is out there and he getting 6 yards or he getting 5 yards, now you have a 2nd and 4, maybe you have a 2nd and 3, and then you get down to a 3rd and 2, a 3rd and 1. Those playbooks, those plays out of that package is a whole lot easier than 3rd and 7. Believe it or not, even a 3rd and 5. So that's a good point there too as well. I have shout out to Doppler Boy. He said, "Who's even a Jake?" I don't know, Bentley guy. I don't know who that is. Reckless Anthony. Shout out to Nicola and Jay Cena. You can't see him. Ty Jefferson. Hey, man, you got some good people in here, man. But I just want to talk about this.
Justin Quarles.
Justin Quarles, man. What's going on? Dak Prescott, number 4. Cough, cough. Kevin Milton. Shout out to you, too, as well. Chris Shaw. JJ Jesse? Shout out to everybody, man. Thank y'all for tuning in and joining into the show. Boomer Sooner. Hey, guys, don't forget. Click on Boomer Sooner video. Just all you have to do is click on his link and watch his video. It's nice. I would like to give a shout out to the plugs, baby. What's going on? Tyrone, what's going on? Church. His last name Church. Barry Church cousin. What's up? Man, so we talked about expectation. We talked about salary cap. We touched pretty much every topic today. How long we been going live? Anybody got the timestamp?
Yeah, I don't know. I came on late.
It says over an hour. Let's see. I can check.
We've been talking straight.
Oh, he sounded like
about an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. How long you guys willing to go?
Man, I could go on for as long as I want. I could go all day.
My boy up in here, Ninja Nuts. What's going on with you, man? Boy, I can't wait to tell Big Game James, man. We've been looking for you, man. Free. What's going on with you, man? Shout out to you. We got some troops up in this building, man.
Yeah. It ain't gonna let you get away with no nonsense.
Say what you like.
Right.
Say what you like, sports podcast, man. That's what now. That's one of the coldest names in the building right now. Say what you like. Yeah. I got to go to work in the morning. This is from April. Hey, we all got to go to work, but we got this silver and blue pumping through our veins. We trying to figure out what we need to do with this team. AKOYE, go ahead and talk about Jeff Heath. I want to hear your thoughts about this. He said leave him alone, right?
Yeah, they gotta leave him alone, man.
He's my free safety.
Because you know how when you stand up for somebody, people assume you're on their side. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it becomes like that. Like the fact that people hate on Jeff forces me to defend him, and then it makes it look like I'm biased for Jeff Heath, and that's not the case. I'm trying to prove a point with that film, so that's why I put his positive accolades in there. But at the end of the day, if you look at his stats, and no, I'm not saying his body of work or his legacy is going to be better than a ET3, because I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think he's that level of a talent. But if you look at ET3's last 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. And if we had this whole notion, I'm pretty sure you've probably said it. Both of you might have said this because it was a mantra that was repeated in the media about Dez, where it was like he was on a decline for 3 seasons. I think somebody just said, like, or is this Shannon and Skip? But yeah, they were talking about.
I would say Nick Wright, but okay.
Yeah, 3 season decline, right? They say that all the time. So if you're looking at ET3 stats, and I challenge anybody, I've done it, but go out and look at them. In the last 3 seasons, I think Heath's first full year starting last year was better than anything that ET3 put on film or tape for over the last 3 seasons. And I know that sounds like I'm saying a lot, but I'm not. That's the truth. Last year was Heath's first year starting, and he had 71 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 2 forced fumbles. And he won. He closed out the Giants game. He closed out the KC game, and he won the Raiders. He won the Raiders game. Year before last, Washington. Yeah. But he even tilted the momentum in the Washington game on Thanksgiving, I think, where he got the interception in the red zone. So, like, it's not just the interception that he gets, because Anthony Brown had an interception that game. At least most people don't remember, but because it was in bum time. Cheeto, without hating on Cheeto, but he got his interception against the Eagles in the last game of the season. It wasn't really a meaningful game. So it's like He's not racking up stats with those types of plays. He's racking up stats with timely plays at the right time, being in the right place, making the right decision at the right time. And that's his first full body of work. So I think anybody who says that a person who does that, white, black, Asian, or bronze, goofy plays in my rookie year or not, a person who does that didn't earn his position. To say that is like ridiculous. It don't even make sense.
You mentioned the Chief game too as well, right?
Snatched that ball out and you could hear the commentary when it happened. They said that's Alex Smith's first interception of the year. So that's how judicious he is with the ball, and he still intercepted him. That interception against Eli, he saved Jordan Lue's ass because he was burnt by Junior. I forgot what the guy's last name, Ridley Jr. or something like that. Mm-hmm. But number 18 had a couple steps on Lewis, and then out of nowhere, here comes Heath plucking that out of the sky. So, and then right before the play that he got famous for, which was the Derek Carr, I think it is, the Carr tackle. Right before that play, he knocked the ball away from Crabtree, and he actually hurt Hitchens on that play too. But he knocked the ball away from Crabtree and broke up a play. So he was balling, man. Anybody who say not, it's like, who's the hater when you say that? If you put something on paper and on film, you show it, people see it, and still be like, but you're not a starter. But you're playing better than every starter on the team, and you be like, yeah, but you're not a starter. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think it's one of the guys from the Cowboys break. And I'm not trying to bring in race as a color of things with the defensive back, because all I look at is silver and blue. But he was talking about the reason why a lot of people had their reservations because he's a white guy playing defensive back, And we all look at the Sandejos of the world. I can go name them, Harrison. Remember Harrison? Yeah. And then you have also Sandejo, and then you have the other guy out there, Waddle.
Weddle was that bull, man. That's who X Woods reminds me of, man.
Yeah, X Woods, yeah. I was trying to beg for Weddle when he was out there. So not to throw that in there, but I think that sometimes people have a certain connotation when you see a player out there and you say, oh, wow, look at this guy. But Jeff Heath, like I said, he's a 4.3 guy. He's fast. He is explosive. I did a lot of film and tape on Jeff Heath, and I saw a lot of things that he can do out there. He's instinctive. You know, he's instinctive. He's a gambler too as well. I did a film session on him. I said this guy will be a gambler. He takes gambles, and sometimes he wins, and sometimes he's on his knees praying to God like, "Oh Lord, I messed up." We talk about that.
That was a come to Jesus moment.
Oh man!
But a baller is a baller, and me and Vaj were saying that Jeff Heath in the last 2 minutes of any game, I'd take him over any player all day, every day, because you put him in the last 2 minutes.
I mean, I want him in the whole game
because
he knocking the snot out anybody, man. So I want him in the whole game.
Now the whole game is just now. That's the thing. That's the thing right there where we had our little slight reservations on. But hopefully, like you said, if he can play. Because Barry Church said this when he made it to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He said the fact that Rob Marinelli rotated his guys so much that you can't get into the natural flow and the feel of the game.
Right.
And that could be the situation with Jeff Heath when he's out there and he's not getting into the flow and the feel of the game. You see, because sometimes you play defensive, defensive side of the ball before, and when you're out there on defense, you can say, okay, you can start recognize and say, okay, he's going to try to cheat and cut off his route on this play. I've seen this play form before. So when you're out there in the mix, out there, and you get in the vibe of the game, that's when you can jump the route. Before Jeff Heath caught that interception against the Chiefs, he jumped the route on one of them passes, and they said, ooh, he almost got that ball. And then the next time we saw it, he caught the interception. So that's what Jeff Heath is. Hopefully, maybe he can just go out there and just say, okay, coach, play me every series and watch. I will have not just 4 interceptions. I have 8 interceptions out of it.
I think the rotation is going to be between Woods as that robber and that robber technique. I don't think Heath is a robber. Heath actually is a little more rangy than X Woods because it's just flat out speed. And you're not asking, you're not asking him to do a lot other than just play the middle of the field. That's what he's good at. Actually, he has the range. He kind of gets messed up when it comes to being in the box and taking the right angles and so on. So having him out there where you just make it easy for him and say, hey, Heath, listen, the hash mark is you. And our corners are going to cover their quarter of the field, their third of the field, you know, and that cover 3. I think that kind of makes things real simple because no matter what the front is, they're just disguising, I guess, the deep is the deep or the free safety or the disguising their linebackers. But it's still, if they're running cover 3, they're running cover 3. They're just, you know, somebody else will be the mic on certain plays. Somebody else will be deep on certain plays. So you can rotate out. But I think that makes it easy, you know, an easier defense to learn. That's actually one of the first defenses you'll install other than cover 2 and cover 4. You know, they're real simple. So I don't know. I think Heath will benefit from that. And I don't think he's the one that's going to be rotating. I think it's going to be X Woods and Frazier rotating. And as far as the battle between Lewis and Anthony, I honestly want to see Lewis win out. You know, and I want to see when we bring that nickel look out there, I don't want to see him in the slot, actually. I want to see him where he was last year on the outside. I think he plays better out there. And have Cheeto closer to the ball, as I said before. That's an extra safety in the box / linebacker.
Good stuff. Space, what's your thoughts, man, on Jeff Heath and the whole deal, man?
I mean, look,
especially coming from your side of the aisle. What's your thoughts?
I mean, look, you know, AKOYE just hit the nail on the head with, you know, regards to the analysis. But from what I've seen, you know, from what management is doing, I know a lot of people are craving an ET3 trade. Guys, if they sincerely wanted him, they could have gone after him. You know, Chris Richard said, hey, guys, look, I'm not comfortable with the personnel I have. Can we go trade up to get a Derwin James? Can we go acquire Earl Thomas? Can we go get a free safety in the free agent pool, right? He didn't do that. He feels confident in the people he has at his disposal, right? And, you know, that shows me how confident I am in this secondary. If he can give that vote of confidence that says, hey, you know, I think that I'm cool with what I got. Now, I'm not saying this because, you know, for all I know, hey, he's just this coach, you know, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, just because he's this coach from this background doesn't mean he's always right. But he, you know, he's really good. Don't say what I take what I say as gospel, okay?
Right.
But at the end of the day, Chris Richard knows what he's doing. If he needs the personnel, they're gonna go out and get him. Right. I mean, so Yeah, I mean that's all I got to say on that.
That's true.
Yeah, that's
true. They didn't make many
Velvet
moves
Coast.
in the secondary to just move people around. So, but you got to think about it. We won big last year because everybody talks about Cheeto and you talk about Lewis, but as I said before, I think Woods was the best of those three as far as the production on the field last year. What I say is upside. He has a higher floor and maybe a lower upside than those two. But as far as just his product right now, though, he came in, I think, a little bit more prepared due to the versatility of his defensive position or his role. He was like Minka Fitzpatrick for Lafayette. So he was playing corner. He's playing inside and out corner, both safety positions. And he can flat out run. Even though his 40 time wasn't the greatest, he can run. So, and people think he's small. I don't know why, but Brian Dawkins was 5'11". Eric Weddle's 5'11", 200 pounds. So he's about the same size. So it's like he's not small. He's not undersized at all.
I thought now.
Actually, he's bigger than ET3.
He is.
Yeah.
When I looked at him, like his playing weight looked like he was like in the 193-ish, around 190-ish. Because he looked that wide to me when I'm talking about X Woods. But we'll see, though. You know, everybody, these players still in their young bodies, you know.
Right.
They're not 24, 25 yet, so or
right.
26 or 27. So we'll see, man. This year is going to be one of those years that we're going to be sitting at the edge of our seat. We got a lot of battles that's within battles because I'm thinking that my other dark horse for this team is Marquez White. You know, he had this basketball frame. You know, he played basketball at Florida State, and now all of a sudden he getting those conditionings together, and they say he picked on like 5 or 6 more pounds of pure muscle. So I can't wait to see his frame now. He's got long length. He's rangy, and he fits the system pretty well for what Chris Richard is running. So he's my dark horse as far as the defensive side of the ball. I can't wait to see him out there.
Right.
And people like, man, somebody gonna be like, who's Marquez White, man? Who is he?
Oh no, he actually will get resurrected this year, I think. Because of his size.
Yeah.
From Florida State. Yeah. Linky guy. But his athletically, the way he moves as well, like where he's fast, but doesn't really look like he's moving as fast as he is. He's like Sherman in that regard, where he's more athletic than he appears because his movements look stiff, but he can move.
Yes, indeed. So, guys, man, I'm trying to fight. I'm trying to hang in with you guys,
man.
Man.
You need to break out. It's all good, man.
Yeah, man. What's the next topic, though, man? I can go. I'm still fighting. I'm falling, but I'm still fighting.
I know we talked about expectation. I know we talked about players. I guess the question is, for this cherry on top, what would you say is your range for how well the team's going to do? So like a record and maybe like how far they can go. I know that sounds a bit subjective, but like, for example, I think this team is within the 9-7, 13-3 range. I got us going 11-5. And I'm not trying to say that as a homer. Look, you know, not everyone's going to get 13 wins. You know how hard it is to duplicate that unless you're the Patriots. Then you can do that on the regular.
Playing that old crass division, but go ahead.
But yeah, I think that the Cowboys definitely have a shot to win this division. I know people might think I'm crazy. Oh, you're a homer. Oh, you're just being that because you're a Cowboys fan. Well, do you sincerely think that the Eagles are 100% certain going to repeat or going to do what they did last year? It's all about luck. It's all about the personal. And again, I'm not,
Yes and no. Like it is, when luck in the sense of, injury, that injury bug, you can't really call that. And having a guy like Nick Foles sitting on the bench ready, to play the rest of the season out. Yeah, if that's luck, yeah. But at the same time, attrition kind of gave us an issue. Like, we were banged up a little bit and we didn't have a go-to move. Our coaching staff kind of got left out there, hung out to dry because they didn't adjust very much. So, with that said, do I think that we can, overcome that and turn that around this year? I mean, I hope so. But as far as being 9-7, 11-5, 13-3, or undefeated, I don't like to say that, especially this year, because this isn't just a prove it year because Dez isn't here and Dak's like the leader of the offense and Witten isn't here and Romo isn't here. It's not a prove it year because of that. It's not a prove it year because of the contract. It's a prove it year because of who we actually play. We have the Jaguars. We don't know what we're getting in the Colts. We don't know what type of Texans team we'll see with a J.J. Watt that's back. And
not to cut you off, but Panthers going to give us the best shot. They're going to give us their best shot. Yeah, game opening,
Let's count them out. You got the Panthers. You could just count out the 6 games in our division, period, because they all play us tough. So we can win or lose against any of those guys, but they all are built to play us. So the Redskins twice. So that's 6 games right there, right? Then you have game 7. That's a difficult game against the Panthers. Then we play the Saints as well. So that's 8 games in where we have – it's not an easy treading. And then we play also, as I said, the Texans. We play the Titans. We play not the Colts, but the Jaguars.
The Lions.
The Jaguars.
The Lions look like they can put up some points.
Yeah, like
we play the Jaguars too, though. Like that's that's it. And then you don't know what type of Colts team you gotta play against. So we could literally easily have 11 out of those 16 games. 11 of them can be pretty difficult at this point. So I think if it's a year where I'm not mad at a 9-7 or 8-8 or a 10-6 year. I'm not mad if we just play hard, ball hard, but get close to where we were last year, where we have say so to get into the playoffs, because that would show this year would mean more than it meant 2016. I don't want to say last year, because I think last year we controlled our own destiny, but I don't think it was all ability. I think it was injury and just suspensions, a lot of distractions last year, along with some inexperience. I think that's why I take that off the record. But if you look at 2016, I don't really look at that record as being a stout record. So this year will be the first year that we really get to see, like, did that grow? Is this offense developing? Are the coaches able to adjust? They'll have to win games this year. And is this defense real? Because we're playing quarterbacks that can kill us. So it'll especially when we play Breeze, we'll see what our secondary is in that game.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I was going to mention, look, I'm not going to say this is going to be – of course, I'm talking about if in a vacuum, if all goes right. That's that range I'm talking about. But obviously, football isn't in a vacuum, right?
Right.
This team is young. It's going through growing pains. It's still going to go through growing pains. So if we get a 9-7 or 10-6 season, that's a win in my book, especially with how young of a team this is. Again, all the question marks that surround this team. It's just about how can we progress from 2017 to this year, right? And we all know how the coaching staff is. That's going to be the number one test. And, we'll see how things transpire. If it ends up being another 9-7 season, but things look a bit not as hectic, and it's a well-earned 9-7 season, especially how tough the schedule is, cool. If it's 10-6, 11-5, that's more awesome. But like I said, nothing's guaranteed in this league. Obviously, I'm aware of that. I want this team to win every single game. I think that they have the potential to, but when you look at it in, reality, unfortunately, that's not the case. And I think that, a 9-7, 10-6, 11-5 season is the range that you should be looking for. Don't go too high, but, we're all Cowboys fans. We want what's best for our team.
Right.
Yes, we want the best for our team, so we got to come out fighting. That's why I was so upset with David Irving's suspension, and I was upset with David Irving. More disappointed, I would say, than upset, basically, because we see what we got up against. We always going against the grain when it's starting off from the season and stuff like that. This is our 5th year in a row, whereas we have somebody on the defense that's not there. So that means the offense have to have their margin of errors to be just like this, because now – we're missing some guys, and I don't know if T. Will is going to be ready, as far as the offensive side of the ball. Right. So, and you really can't say, well, I'm going to put all my chips on T. Will, right? So we'll see, though. We'll see these first 4 games. What we have, Cam Newton, then we have
Eli. Then we
go
to Seattle, and then
Seattle. So Cam and for sure Cam and was it Russell Wilson? Those 2 guys like to roll out of the pocket, and once they get out of the pocket, things happen, weird things happen. So we'll see. We'll see how this young defense going to play. We'll see what Chris Richard's system is all about. We'll see whether or not Dak Prescott has improved in anything. If not, then we'll see what Ezekiel Elliott can do, for us. And hopefully we'll come out, I guess, with the first 4 games, maybe 3-1. Hopefully, or hopefully we can just come out, 2-2. I don't know, Hey, there's a crazy record with Jason Garrett is that when we lose the first game, we have a better year, So,
oh my God.
So hopefully,
it's an even year.
It's an even year. Not to go off these crazy trends, but it's an even year. So Jason Garrett normally have a good season when it's the even year, right?
Nah, but look, man, I'm looking for what's best for these boys. They have to, and this is something that killed us this year. When it came to the matchups, you have to win against your NFC opponents. I don't care. Like, people might say, like, oh, don't worry. You got to win as many NFC games early on because they do count at the end. And a lot of people underestimated that when we lost to the Packers and Rams. If we had won at least either one of those games, we maybe would have been in. If we beat Atlanta, we would have been in.
Right.
Before we went live, we were talking about this too as well. Second half adjustments. If we better our second half adjustments, I think that somebody said 10-6, right? That's a +1 game from last year, right?
I mean, I think if we did better second half adjustments, we weren't out of any games. Like the Atlanta game wasn't over at halftime.
Right.
The Eagles game was 9-7 at halftime. We were playing the Seahawks close at halftime. The Chargers game, we almost shut them out. I think the entire first half. So a lot of these games were exactly that. Poor halftime adjustment.
About the Rams.
The Rams game, we were up 16, I think, 16-7 or something like that, or 16-3. But then you had Switzer fumble, kind of changed the momentum. But at the same time,
the Green Bay game.
But the Rams, even in that game, they beat us 35-30, and they only scored 14 points on touchdowns. The rest of that 21 points was all field goals. So the Rams beat us with their leg. And that's a matter of them. That was more about the offense than it was the defense. That game, the defense did their job. They kept them out of the end zone. It's just that we kept giving them the ball back, or we turned the ball over. That one timely turnover actually became the difference maker with Switzer because we lost by 5 points, and we would have been a 2-point favorite had he not done that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's possible, guys. It's possible for us to be a +3 from last year, right?
Right.
Yeah,
so man, it's possible.
Yeah, we just got to see consistency with this team. whether that be the 10-6s, 9-7s, 11-5 up there. That's what we need to see from this team. We cannot see this, 12-4, 4-12. I don't know, 11-5. We go 8-8. That's the problem. Like, if we are consistently going 10-6, 9-7, like in that range and above, I think we're fine because now we're developing this winning culture and we're developing that consistency because that's something that Cowboys teams of the past never really developed.
I mean, as long as we're not losing like we lost to Denver, where it's like nothing works, I'm fine with a tightly contested loss. Not that I'm looking to lose, but I don't look at I'm a realist, man. I don't think you make as many changes as we made on offense and say, hey, automatically we know we're better. I don't know if we're better or not, but I know we have the potential to run the ball a lot better than ever at this point, and that's a good thing. So, and that's our strength. So, maybe this offense does something crazy, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yes, indeed, man. As I'm about to close this thing down, because I see you guys got the energy out of galore. But AKOYE, tell them where they can find you at, man.
AKOYE Media. On YouTube, pretty much, or you can go AKOYE Media on Twitter. I'm on there every now and again. I've been busy lately, so I haven't really been on social media too often. And then also, I am _AKOYE on IG if you want to just, talk personal shit or, laugh and see what type of knucklehead I am when I'm not doing.
Hey, any Patreon or anything like that you got in the movie?
I do have a Patreon. It's AKOYE Media on Patreon. So Patreon /AKOYE Media. You can go out there and request videos. What's crazy though? I want to say this to the Cowboy Nation too, man. Y'all gotta get your game up, man. Because I get more, for real. I get more requests from people who aren't on our team or who don't rep our team than anything else. So people go in there and pay me to do like the Aaron Rodgers video. That was because somebody paid me, man. The quarterback, looking at quarterbacks, he was like, "Hey, my son, man, he trying to be a quarterback. Can you break down some quarterbacks? Because we don't got a lot of that other than what I said about Dak." So I said, "Oh, for sure, I got you. You want quarterbacks? I got you, brother."
Yes, indeed. Hey, we got to collab on this right here, man. Remember, we were talking about boxing. We got to do a boxing film session.
Oh man,
what's your thoughts on Errol Spence, man? What's your thoughts on him?
Errol Spence is the real deal.
Errol's, yeah.
Yeah. One thing that you pay attention to his toe placement. Like he always has both feet facing forward. And I used to always say, like, when I learned how to box, and you can test this on your own. Most people turn their right foot out. Or their back foot. Or Errol Spence is southpaw, so it's his left foot. But he points it straight at his target because that's which way you have to go when you go to throw a punch anyway. So if you throw your power shot, you have to twist your hips back into the punch. But Errol Spence already has his hips facing his opponent, so he throws harder consistently with just like he's walking. Like he throws hard punches all day long. And
hold on, not to cut you off, but I'm a Crawford fan.
Crawford
Terrence Crawford. Hey, they talking about Spence versus. Oh, buddy.
I like Crawford too, but Bud too small for Spence. Is he a different kind of guy, man. Like Crawford is talented.
Yes.
But Errol Spence is like Marvin Hagler. He's mean.
The body snatcher, huh?
Yeah, he's gonna come. You can beat him. Like, can you get out of a fight with more points than Errol Spence? Yeah, you could do it, but can you get out of a fight and not know you was in a fight with Errol Spence? Nah, you're going to pay for it. Like, if you win against Errol Spence, that's one of those things where you win, but you spend more time in the hospital than he does.
They broke it down, boy. Man, we're going to have to really talk about this boxing, man. I don't think that is there a YouTube boxing community out there?
Probably.
I'm quite sure that there is.
They got some, but
I don't know if there's no
everything.
I don't think there's. Thank you for tuning in to the Law Nation Film Session as we take a deeper look at Errol Spence versus Crawford. Let me tell you. Yeah. We're going to have to get that going, man. And then, of course, AKOYE, in this video, we're going to look at it.
You know who my favorite was, though, man?
Yes.
Tony, man.
Yes. What's going on, man? Space, tell them, man, where they can find you at, where they can locate you at, man. Where they can put not the hit out at you, but where they can find that page at, because you did talk about locking Jerry Jones in the closet for the whole year.
Yeah. How we doing, guys?
Jerry security.
Listen, we're gonna take things day by day. It's a process.
No,
I'm just joking. If you guys want to find me on YouTube, Space Cowboy 17, you can find me on there. Go into the search bar. On Twitter, I'm space_cowboy_17 because they don't like, me not having spaces. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say. I mean, I'm more casual. I'm not as in detail with film, but I will say my piece in regards to a topic. I'll just say my 2 cents on something. But I'm not any expert, so I can't really pride myself on that. But no, Law, I thank you so much for having me on.
Same here.
It's a pleasure.
No, man, I thank you guys for joining in, man. It's a pleasure for listen to you guys' content, watch you fans come in, and the crowd that you guys bring into as well. It's just so amazing, we want to talk about the team that we love, right?
Right.
And I love contrast. Yeah, I love contrast. So when we have different opinions, different views, and things like that,
right.
I love we need our trolls. We need our trolls. We need the
trolls.
Channels.
Trolls.
We need them.
I come at them like people think that I'm getting pissed off. I'm like, nah. I like to argue and debate, so I'll debate with them and try to make them. I've actually done it quite a bit. I used to listen to this dude named I think he just died, but Jacques Fresco. Right, he talks about utopian societies and all that, but that's in a different lane. that's on some Zach Geist type stuff. But but one thing he did talk about a lot was the idea of the
Earth is flat, right? He was talking about that. Oh,
changing people's minds. Like he said, if you can't change someone's mind, you can't change one person's mind, how can you propose to change the world? So I go out, and if I argue with somebody, I'm not arguing because I want to win. I'm arguing because I feel like if one of us is right, and one of us is telling the truth, the true truth, uncontested truth, then both of us will be improved once we finish. You know what I mean? Because I've said it, but people have checked me, and I said, "Oh man, you know what? You're right. I apologize." You know what I mean? Whereas I do that to people a lot too. So I like the trolls because most of them wind up being loyal viewers after that because we get it in. And then it's like, oh, all right, they know I'm not the type where it's like, I'm not just up here saying stuff, man. I'm not. But if I am, correct me and show me. And I'll be like, oh, that's on film. There you go. All right, I believe you. My fault.
Man. Yeah, same way, man. You know, like, I mean, we've had this discussion, especially with Dez. I admitted I was wrong on a couple things, and I think that that's something people aren't comfortable with in this day and age. They all want to be right. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. I mean, not everyone's perfect. So, yeah.
And the beauty of it and the glory of it is that we can say something 3 months or 4 years ago, and people are going to go back and find that one clip, and they'll try to take it, and they say, hey, Law, you said this about this player, you said that about the player. And I'm like, hey, you know, I'm not perfect. You know, I can't walk on water.
Right.
I can't turn water into wine. I can tell you how to get to the liquor store, though, you know, and we can just drink this Henny, and we can talk about it later, you know. So that's just how it is, you know, when you have issues, when you have faults in your film breakdown or film sessions and things like that,
right.
or your opinion or your view, you know, just face it, you know, and just move on with it. And we're not going to be right on every player. You know, the NFL, people who draft players, that's multi-millionaires, they're not right on every player. You know, if they were, then, you know, they have multiple success on extreme levels, you know. But pretty much, guys, that's all the time I have for today. I really thank everybody for tuning in. And remember, you guys are listening to Nothing But the Best. Salute. We're out.
Peace.
Peace.